Good evening. It's Monday, May 14th. It's now 6 p.m. and the meeting in Klein ISD Board of Trustees is now open. Representing the quorum tonight are Ms. Georgianne Reitmeyer, Ms. Kathy Arlano, Mr. Ronnie Anderson, Mr. Steve Simchek, Mr. Doug James, Mr. Rick Mann, and myself, Bill Pilkington. Before we go into closed session tonight, we'll take up one special matter of business: the naming of Klein Oak High School baseball field as the Dale Westmoreland Field.
Mr. President, I'd like to make that motion. I'd like to make that motion.
Thank you. May I have a second? Second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Hooray.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Now it's official.
All right. Congratulations to you and your family. Congratulations. If you could you just introduce your family and guests here for us, please?
If you can.
I thought I'd just
See
come
that,
in.
dumb? See that, dumb?
No, I've been in the education business for about 44 years, and my wife said, will you come with me, because we were honoring, her old boss, Vicky, and stuff. And I said, okay, I'll do it. And she gets like a minute away from the building. She said, oh, by the way, this is a school board meeting. And I went, what? A school board meeting? You bring me to that? But, boy, I appreciate it. I don't know what to say. I wasn't expecting anything like this. And, boy, I know Klein Oak still means so much to me. The black and gold, I've always told people that boy, that's still running through my blood. And we had so many great times there, so many great, ball games and great teams, and made such great friends. And there, like Barry's here tonight, then we grew so close, even though he beat me more times than, but I still liked him, but I want to express my appreciation and my family. Yeah, she's gonna be accuse me of forgetting her name, but no. But Margaret, who's been there all the way to early 70s, and my brother Al, and his wife Jeannie, my sons Casey and Lane, and great friends, and they've been there for a long time with us. So, boy, it's hard to deal with. But I appreciate it so much, and I continue to go to the football games. Both my boys coach, and I'll be at all the football games and all the baseball games, and life has been good. So I appreciate everything. I remember Kathy a long time ago when I first got there. She was the drill team instructor, and we had a few arguments, but most.
You were just afraid I was going to mention that.
Oh yeah, yeah. I was going to head that off first,
Yeah.
But no, we.
Great friends.
Yeah, great friends throughout all the years and stuff. So, thank you for everything. Boy, this means. Don't know how much it means to me. Appreciate it.
Any of the members want to say comment?
I have to say something. I don't know if you remember or not how many days Chance came from Hildebrandt, and because I had drill team practice, Westy would let him come and sit in the stands to watch baseball. And his love is all because of Westy. And every time we go to a game like Saturday night, that's the first thing he says. Is Westy here today? And maybe, maybe not, but every time, and I really do appreciate all that you did for kids. And it was just amazing, the run you had at Klein Oak, and the respect and the integrity that came along with it.
Like, and I remember so many times that Chance would see me and say, "You the man, you the man. You need a raise." I told him, "Go to the school board." But I never got quite that raise.
Yeah, well, he's still saying it. He's still, when he runs for office next, he'll be telling everybody that. So, yeah. Great memories, though.
Well, thank you so much.
Coach, when you go to a game now, where will you go?
I'm in the bleacher section.
But what's the name of the stadium?
Yeah, Dale. We have, me and Frick and I go to a lot of games, and we sit in the box seats over there on the, left field line. Nobody else can get there. That's our.
Instead of getting there, you need to refer to it now as the Dale West. Come on, Coach.
Well, thank you. I'm still tingling. I didn't.
Good.
Man, I was looking for hors d'oeuvres and. I told Margaret, I said, "Well, we're going to see Dickie." I said, it's like yours was when you retired, because there's going to be something to eat and all that kind of stuff. I was looking forward to that. but well, I just.
You can have Chick-fil-A on the way home.
Stay not sleep tonight.
Well, I won't go too long, but I'll tell you two things I want to say about Klein Oak baseball under Dale. He brought up Eric Schindelwolf as a freshman, and a lot of you know Eric went on to play at A&M and then got drafted, played a couple of years. And that first time up, he had a home run right over the right field fence. I couldn't believe it. I said, "Man, that's a smart coach bringing up a freshman that can hit." But I'll tell you, and anyone here that's half a baseball fan, there's nothing more beautiful than the sight of Dale Westmoreland waving in that runner from second to score and sliding, and just that excitement. You're running down the line with him, that little guy from Arkansas, just coming down the line there, and you made Klein Oak baseball very exciting. So congratulations. It's an honor to be on the board that was able to do this.
All right. Congratulations. So as provided by the Texas Government Code, the Board of Trustees will now go into closed session in accordance with sections 551.071, private consultation with the board's attorney regarding all matters as authorized by law, including board governance, 551.072, discussing purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property, 551.074, discussing employment, evaluation, or discipline of personnel, including board governance and including superintendent evaluation and contract. 551.076, discussing security personnel and devices. 551.082, discussing disciplinary matters or complaints regarding school children and/or school district employees. 551.0821, discussing personally identifiable information about public school students. 551.087, deliberation regarding economic development negotiations. The Board of Trustees will reconvene at approximately 7 p.m. Have your attention. Good evening. It's now 7 p.m. and the meeting of the Klein ISD Board of Trustees is reconvened. If you have not done so already, I ask you to please silence your cell phones. Thank you all for joining us. We're a school district, approximately 53,000 students, 6,800 employees, and over 25,500 active volunteers. We always appreciate it when members of the community come out to join us. Our shared vision is to ensure that every student enters with a promise and exits with a purpose. So all of us working together, parents, teachers, staff, and community, are the only way that's going to make that happening by focusing on pathways, challenge equity, leaderships, and continuous improvements. Thank you for partnering with us. So you'll notice on tonight's agenda, a school district resident, employee, vendor, or potential vendor has an opportunity to address the Board of Trustees for 4 specific reasons. If anyone in the audience would like to address the Board of Trustees for any of those 4 reasons, would you please come forward now and register with our Board Secretary, Ms. Arlano. So tonight, Mr. James will lead us in prayer, followed by our Scout, Max Verkus, who will lead us with the pledges of allegiance to the United States flag and the flag of Texas.
Let us
Mr. James.
stand, please. Oh God, how excellent is your name in all the earth. We thank you so much for who you are and what you mean to each one of us. Lord, we thank you that you have in grace kept us and blessed us to see another day. We come tonight to commemorate and to celebrate those we have committed to serve. We are so grateful for our protections and the sacrifice of our men and women in the armed forces. Bless them as only you can. Lord, there is a reason why Scripture tells us to have faith like a child. They are bursting with curiosity, full of love. Protect their innocence and preserve their spark in their eyes from the darkness of the world. God, remove any distractions that we have that may divert our attention from ensuring that every child that enters with a promise is skillfully and lovingly guided into their purpose. Lord, as we model what it means to unite good scholarship and fiscal responsibility with spirit of innovation, don't let us as a board or we as a community lose sight of why we do what we do. God bless our superintendent, our leadership, staff, and administration. May they be guided with your abundant wisdom and grace. A special blessing for our teachers. We know that they are a tremendous gift to the district and to the field of education, and are certainly the single most important factor to their success. Help them to be the best and connect with the best in each of our kids, while they stir up the gift of curiosity in each and every one of them. Bless them, Lord, that they may even just see just a glimpse of how their faithfulness will forever impact generations to come. Lastly, for all those parents, coaches, volunteers in the district who come in contact with our kids, when they feel unseen, and remind them that no moment goes unnoticed. They are shaping the future 1 million small, yet incredibly important ways each and every day. God bless us. God keep us. Amen.
Amen.
Thanks.
Please join in the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please join me in honoring the Texas flag.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you. School board meetings must be conducted in accordance with strict Texas laws. For example, we cannot vote on any item that does not appear on the agenda. In fact, we may not publicly discuss items that do not appear on the agenda. All of our voting must be in public, and we can privately discuss items regarding personnel, discipline of students, acquisition of school sites, matters of school security, and specific items requiring legal advice. However, the final vote must be in complete view of the public. So please understand this meeting is for the Board of Trustees to have discussion, to deliberate, and to take action. And so I'd ask that you please refrain from making any comments or making any public demonstration during the meeting to allow us to focus on the meeting before us. The superintendent, in consultation with the board president, prepares the agenda and notice of meeting, which are distributed to each trustee 1 week before the Monday night meeting. So if individual board members have questions, they often call the superintendent prior to the meeting. Therefore, on many of the items recommended for approval, the trustees can quickly determine if they agree. So if we seem like we're moving quickly through the agenda, it's only because we're prepared to make a decision without further question or discussion. We deeply appreciate the public trust that you bestowed upon us and will continue to work diligently with the school administration on behalf of your children. And so we're now ready to proceed with the agenda. So, guys are usually a little bit late. Yesterday was Mother's Day, but we'll still make the recognition. If we could, have all the moms in the audience, if you would please stand. Bless you. So, it's often said, the hand that rocks the cradle rules the world. And while motherhood is the hardest job on earth, it's also the most rewarding. So it's our honor to have you here with us tonight. Dr. Champion, you ready for the recognitions?
You bet. Mr. President, continuing with our recognitions tonight, we're thrilled to honor outstanding students and teachers from Northampton Elementary School and Tice Elementary School. We're going to start with Northampton. So Lisa Campbell, please do the honors.
Good evening, Mr. President, members of the board, Dr. Champion, Mrs. Spalding, and honored guests. I am pleased to introduce 2 outstanding students and 1 outstanding teacher from Northampton Elementary. First, I would like to introduce Hudson Book. Joining Hudson to honor him tonight are his family members, Mom, Lori, Dad, Frank, and brother, Logan. Please stand to be recognized. Hudson is a 5th grade student at Northampton who epitomizes the profile of a learner. As a values-driven leader, he works hard to build positive relationships and productive relationships. As a member of our Leadership Academy, Coding Club, and a member of our percussion program, Hudson is a creative and goal-oriented pathway explorer as a Boy Scout, and he enjoys fishing and being outdoors. Hudson embraces challenges every day at school and is always eager to learn. He told me that he loves school because he enjoys all of the new activities and he is able to learn and explore science every day. Hudson wants to attend Texas A&M University and major in marine biology and geology because he is addicted to stones and loves animals and fish. Hudson's teachers describe him as a hardworking student with a huge heart. He is a friend to everyone and is dedicated, kind, and selfless. We can't wait to see what the whole future holds for him. We know he is destined for great things. Next, I would like to recognize Eden Hopes. Joining Eden to honor her tonight are her mom, Edwina, and her brother, Roderick. Her father, Roderick, left this morning for deployment to Bahrain with the United States Navy. So please stand and be recognized. Eden is a 5th grade student at Northampton Elementary. She is a world traveler and has lived and attended school in Italy. Eden exemplifies the profile of a learner. As a values-driven leader, she serves on the Campus Leadership Academy. Eden is a role model on campus who strives to build positive relationships with others and always thinks we, not me. Eden embraces challenges every day at school, earning straight A's all year. She is also a member of her church choir and loves to sing and dance. Eden's teachers describe her as articulate, bright, and someone who thinks outside of the box. Eden is a natural-born leader who is destined for greatness. Eden plans on being a lawyer after attending Harvard or Duke University. We are excited to see what her future holds for Eden, and we know she is going to change the world. Finally, I am going to recognize our outstanding teacher, Miss Melissa Fernandez. With Miss Fernandez tonight are 2 fellow Northampton teachers, Valeria Segovia and Christy Lopez. Please stand to be recognized. Miss Fernandez has had quite an adventurous life. She was born in Japan and has lived overseas most of her life. She attended grade school in Singapore, Qatar, Chicago, Monterey, California, and Beaumont, Texas. She attended college at the University of Southern California. Her student-focused passion brought her to education, where she joined the Northampton Elementary family and currently serves as a kindergarten bilingual teacher. Ms. Fernandez is a relationship-driven leader on campus who works with relentless pursuit of success for each of her students. She is driven by a sense of urgency and holds high expectations for each student in her class, supporting the development of the whole child. She is a relationship-driven teacher who knows her students by name, strength, and need. She works to build trust and a sense of security and belonging for her students. She is a huge advocate for students and has been awarded multiple grants to incorporate 21st century learning and flexible seating in her classroom. Her friends and colleagues describe her as innovative, creative, passionate, and student-focused. Ms. Fernandez helped organize and lead our Five Oaks community event and engage and help educate our bilingual families. Not only does she attend every Spirit Night, she is a sponsor of our Campus Coding Club, a member of Northampton's Ambassador Team, a member of the Campus ELL Task Force, and serves as the representative for our PFO. She was the 2016-2017 Teacher of the Year for Northampton Elementary, and we are so grateful for all she does for our students and families every day. She is the epitome of a Klein profile of a leader, and we cannot wait to see where she goes from here.
I understand this is an honor that we as a board get to provide every month to outstanding teachers and students. And look at the way they're standing up here. This is called school board pay. This is what we get paid for. This is our compensation. Thank you for doing that. Eden, a lawyer, but you really want to go to Texas, right? Congratulations. You keep up that hard work, and we wish you all the success in the world. Okay? You sure you don't want to go to Texas? I know it's a problem. There's a couple of them back there. Congratulations on setting your goals early and knowing where you want to be. And that's wonderful. My daughter's next. But congratulations on all your hard work. You keep it up and keep going, okay? Ms. Fernandez, what can I say? My gosh, you've done it all. And you've done it all with students. And I thank you so much for that. You are what makes Klein the wonderful place that it is. And I thank you so much for taking these students, the Northampton students, under your wing and showing them what the world is all about. Thank you so very much.
Joanne, come on up. Next up, we have Tice Elementary. Miss Joanne Keenan is here to present our students and teacher.
We'll start with Lacey. There we go. Well, good evening, Mr. President, board, members of the board, Dr. Champion, Mrs. Spalding, and guests. Tonight I have the honor of introducing two outstanding Tice students and one distinguished teacher. First, we have Gracie Dietrich, and with Gracie tonight, she has her parents, Brian and Dina Dietrich, her grandparents, Robert and Diane Napalillo. Please stand. Well, Gracie is a shining example of a student who is sure to succeed. Gracie has attended Tice since kindergarten and excels in all areas. She's received many awards and accomplishments while attending Tice. Gracie has earned all A's and E's on a report card, perfect attendance, participates in our school-wide reading program, earning her Star Reader t-shirt for several years, participated in the famous Duct Tape Club, and also Math Club and Destination Imagination. Gracie's favorite subjects are math, and her very favorite instrument to play is the piano. Outside of school, she participates in gymnastics and piano lessons. She's been taking piano lessons for many years and loves all types of music. Gracie is an unwavering commitment to serving the greater good of others. She is an altar server at St. Ignatius, and her primary role is to assist the priest. If you ask her teachers how they would describe Gracie, they would say she has excellent work habits, a true standout student with impeccable manners, and a forever learner. She's self-disciplined, goal-oriented, and if you ask your classmates, they'll say Gracie is loyal, kind, and a bit of a jokester. I see a student that lifts others up while looking for ways to make the world a better place. She always acts with great integrity, builds positive relationships with her classmates, an outstanding model of a value-driven leader. Ladies and gentlemen, Gracie Dietrich. And next we have Joseph Solis. With Joseph tonight, we have his parents, Victor and Jessica. His older sister, Brianna, and his younger sister, Isabella. Joseph has been a proud member of the Tice family since first grade and is extremely well-rounded. While maintaining A's and E's, he receives multiple awards for good citizenship and kindness to others. Joseph has actively participated in many extracurricular activities throughout his years at Tice. Currently, he's a member of our outstanding Tice choir, participates in the Star Reader program, and his favorite subjects are math and science. Outside of school, Joseph enjoys playing football, basketball, and creating his very own designs using Legos. He has built confidence and self-discipline by participating in a variety of activities. If you ask his teachers, they would describe Joseph as someone who is a top role model both in and outside of the classroom and challenges himself to perform at the highest level. If you ask his peers, they'll say that he's very generous, smart, and fun. I see a student that is value-driven, always committed to serving the greater good. He is grateful, kind, and selfless. Joseph models compassion, tolerance, patience to his fellow students, and he leads. If you want to change the world, you measure a student by the size of their heart, and every single day we're given opportunities to help others, and Joseph sees those opportunities on a daily basis. Ladies and gentlemen, Joseph Solis. And finally, I would like to introduce Sasha Brown. Miss Brown has been teaching at Tice since 2012. She was a student teacher at Tice, and her relentless pursuit of excellence and unwavering commitment to serving students made her a perfect teacher for Tice Elementary. Miss Brown has continued to evolve throughout the years to meet the demands of the classroom, each year better than the previous. Her passion and dedication to excellence can be seen daily in her classroom. Someone once said that the heart is what separates the good from the great, and Sasha Brown is an example of that. She has directly touched the hearts and minds of many students, and she has done so with true commitment and excellence. Miss Brown has served on the school community in many ways. She's been a member of the Campus Instructional Development Council, School Leadership Team, the Data Team, PLC Leadership Team, Ambassador, and she has assisted new teachers. She has been a dedicated member for students and participates in our Superheroes Club for at-risk children. Miss Brown has reimagined learning by being creative, highly innovative, and works hard collaboratively with others, providing engaging learning for all students. If you ask her colleagues, they'll describe Miss Brown They would say an amazing instructional leader, creative, collaborative, oozing with positive energy. Kind of like three Red Bulls in a day, right? If you ask her kindergarten students, they would say she's fun, exciting, and she taught us how to read, Miss Keenan. Mrs. Brown's positive attitude and love instruction is so contagious. Miss Brown shared that she wishes she had kept a journal of the funny things the children have said over the years. There is so much joy in teaching, and she is forever grateful for this opportunity to work with children in Klein ISD. It is my pleasure and my honor to present Mrs. Brown. Her love of teaching is an inspiration to others, and she always embraces challenges and exhibits undeniable perseverance. It's my pleasure to honor and serve these two fine young students and outstanding teacher. Thank you.
Usually we start with the young ones first, but I'm going to start with you first because I just believe, Ms. Brown, that the atmosphere that you set for these folks to learn and to grow and to thrive is exactly what Klein ISD is all about. So we thank you for your service, your energy. We thank you for what you're bringing to the table. It is. It's a privilege for us to have you with us. So, you two, Gracie, you look like you're somebody's reason to smile. You are. They described you so eloquently, and with all the wonderful things that they talked about that you were involved with, how you helped your fellow students, how you were great in math. What do you want to be when you get out of high school? What do you aspire to be? Great. How about that? That's right. You look like you're on your way to Austin. So again, we thank you. Congratulations. It's a pleasure to have you in the Klein ISD. All right. And of course, Joseph, you may not get everything you wish for, but you will get everything you work for, and you are on your way to working your way into a wonderful life for you. You're doing some wonderful things. They say the word that jumped out for me was fun. You make learning fun. And that's because your teacher created an atmosphere for your learning to be fun. We congratulate you, we honor you, and we're just thrilled to death to have you in Klein ISD. All right.
All right, in addition to students and teachers recognized tonight, we have 4 administrative introductions to make. These 4 positions became available either due to a promotion or a resignation. Let's start with Stacy Kinsfather, who was recently promoted to the position of Director of Assessment and Accountability. Stacy, would you please stand and introduce your guests?
Hi, good evening. I'm Stacy Kinsfather. I'm here with my son, Christopher. He's in 5th grade at Crime Top. I am so excited about this opportunity. I want to thank you, Dr. Champion. Thank you, Dr. McGowan, for the opportunity. I'm so excited to lead the assessment team as we really work to support campuses and help make promise to purpose a reality for all our students. Thank you.
Thank you, Stacy. Leslie Aaron is our new principal for Wonderlick Intermediate. Leslie, please stand and introduce your guests. Oh, there you are.
Here, and first of all, I want to thank you for And if the future, my future journey and promise to purpose is any indication, the last 10 days with Mr. Bailey, I saw Mr. Bailey somewhere, and Dr. McGowan, let me tell you, I've learned so much and grown so much from their leadership. So thank you to both of you. My number one supporter right here, my husband, Todd Aaron, and I wouldn't be here without his support, so thank you. And then this relationship, Les Compton, you have to stand up to. This has gone full circle in several different arenas. This has gone from a colleague to a friendship, and she was my mentee, and now I feel like she's my mentor. So there we go. So thank you, Les. And then the last 10 days have been amazing, due in part to the wonderful administrative staff at Wonderlic, and here with me tonight are Carrie Gomez and Brad Holder. So thank you to them. I am so excited, Chris Ruggiero, for the foundation, the promise to purpose that you laid, and I look forward to continuing that journey for the community of Wonderlic. So thank you.
Thank you, Leslie. Speaking of Chris Ruggiero, he's been promoted to Director of State and Federal Programs. Chris, please stand and introduce your guests.
Thank you, Dr. Champion. First of all, I'm honored to take on this role of State and Federal Programs Director. The hardest part about taking this position was leaving the campus. But in my heart, I know I've left it with somebody that is truly relationship-driven and student-oriented. And that makes me so happy for Wonderlic and the community. As I enter into this role, I'm excited to be working with teaching and learning and continue to support the students and campuses throughout Klein ISD and make promise to purpose a reality for every student. With me this evening are my mom, Stanley Ruggiero, our brother Michael, and his partner Anthony. Very quickly, I'd like to, Dr. Champion, Dr. McGowan, looks like there's Ms. Schumacher back here. Thank you for the support. This has been a major transition and could not have done it without your support and your leadership. So thank you very much.
You bet. Thank you, Chris. And finally, please welcome the new principal of Ulrich Intermediate School, Trevor Woolley.
Thank you, Dr. Champion. I'm very grateful for this opportunity to be the principal here at Ulrich Intermediate. It's an honor to continue serving the staff and the students there, and we look forward to all the great work that's going to continue. I want to thank Dr. Champion and Dr. McGowan and Leslie Compton for being here this evening. Also, Cynthia Moore came out, one of our teachers, to support us, and I'd like to thank Jeff Bailey as well for setting the foundation of the school. I'm joined this evening by my wife, Paula, my daughter, Tallulah, and my son, Rowan. They're here to help me celebrate. Again, I want to thank you for this opportunity to lead Ulrich. I'm really excited to see all the great things that we continue to do in the work there as we move forward.
Thank you. Continuing with great news, next up we have our Klein Education Foundation grant winners, and Cindy Doyle, our Director of Community Relations in the Education Foundation, is going to make some introductions.
Yes, thank you, thank you, thank you. Dr. Champion, Mr. President, members of the board, Ms. Spalding, and guests, it is my absolute pleasure tonight to introduce and welcome members of the Klein ISD Education Foundation Board of Directors, and they will come up here, I promise, and Grant Review Committee, who will make tonight's presentation. These Klein Education Foundation board members have accepted the challenge of coordinating the call for grant applications, review of the same in conjunction with the district's teaching and learning staff, presentation of the grant recommendations to the foundation board, and finally the Celebration Express. Please welcome tonight Foundation Board President Bill Lakin, Directors Susan Sharon, Lynn Dozier, Julie Stevens, Becky Perkins, and Maria Hartman.
Thank you, Cindy. Dr. Champion, Mr. President, members of the board, Ms. Spalding, and guests. Twice each year, the Klein Education Foundation directors, business and community partners ride the big yellow bus, better known as the Celebration Express, to deliver big checks to educators who think outside the box. Keeping the tradition alive, on Monday, April 30th, the Celebration Express surprised educators on 7 campuses with checks totaling $97,770. We would like to ask the grant recipients and their principals to come forward while we invite you to watch a short video to share a snapshot of our experience. Principals, grant recipients, come forward, please. Grant recipients, please hold up your big check when your grant is announced. The campuses receiving the spring 2018 grants are Hostler Elementary, Making a Difference in Making Connections. The award, $7,400. Natalie Gibson, Jacqueline Kishnick, and Katie Horton. Epps Island Elementary, Writing and Math, It's Part of the Path. The award, $5,020. Tiffany Mitchell and Michelle Rangel. Howdy Elementary, Make, Create, and Innovate, Learning Together, Building Tomorrow's Learners. Award, $7,250. Tamara Welch, Andrea Hay, Sarah Schiffer-Carter, Sarah Bennett, and Claudia Browning. Mahaffey Elementary, Scotty Sensory Room. Award, $5,200. $200. Sarah Gongoria, Alexis Mills, Leah Ripley, Lisa Marilat, and Christine Loomis. Lead the Spark Grants, Niche Elementary, Sprouting Innovation. Award, $24,400. Principal, Amber Kent. Klink Elementary, From Science Lab to STEM Lab. Award, $24,000. Principal, Allie Martin. Roth Elementary, Carpe Annos Singulos, Seize the Year. Award, $24,500. Principal, Gail McGuire. We're very proud to share that this year we set a record for the Klein ISD Education Foundation. The 2017 Fall and 2018 Spring Grant Awards totaled $151,045, the most given in foundation history.
All right.
Since 2001, the Education Foundation has awarded $1,741,192 to the educators of Klein ISD, awarded more than $400,000 towards professional staff development, and $330,000 to fund the STEAM Express mobile classroom. The district serves as the fiscal agent for the foundation classroom grants to ensure that teachers receive the maximum buying power available for their grant funds. Ms. Arellano, Ms. Reitmeyer, and Dr. Champion, would you please join these amazing educators for a photo up front? On behalf of the Klein Education Foundation Board of Directors, we're proud to present a check to the Klein ISD in the amount of $97,770 for the spring 2018 grants.
Thank you, sir. I just thought it was me. You feel like I'm smoking. Let's wait for that.
Georgette motivated So as they return back, can we get a big round of applause for our Klein Education Foundation? We are so thankful. We are so thankful. And another one for the grant committee who does this work. It's a tough job. So we give these guys a round of applause as well. Thank you. Thank you. All right, next up we have our Stand Up for Public Education Award, and Ms. Ramato is going to lead that.
Thank you, Dr. Champion, President Pilkington, members of the board, Ms. Spalding, and guests. It's always a pleasure to get to introduce a business or organization with a Stand Up for Texas Public Schools Award. And tonight, we're privileged to honor, we were going to honor Chevron, but the lady that was coming for the honor, her international flight was delayed. So she couldn't be here tonight. So thank you to Chevron. They do a lot of amazing work in the district. So, yes. Our second honoree tonight is the Champion Forest Women's Club, so I'd like at this time to ask Anna Wheel and Gay Morris to come forward and stand with me. Just
all right.
Okay, so the Champion Forest Women's Club is an amazing organization, and this is Anna Wheel. She's the immediate past president.
I'm the current.
The current president.
Yes.
Okay, we got wrong information. I apologize. And thank you for coming tonight. The mission of the Champion Forest Women's Club is to bring Champion Forest women closer together through community activities. The club has been a partner with Klein ISD for 15 years and has truly made a difference in that time. For example, just in the last 2 years, the members have awarded $12,000 in scholarships to Klein High students and provided $1,000 for their flag program. They have beautified the entry gardens at Kleb Intermediate and Brill Elementary, and they have the members have donated in the past $10,000 to the Brill Library Transformation Project, conducted a turkey drive for Brill families, sponsored the Transform Academy, and donated $3,000 to purchase a 3D printer for the Klein ISD STEAM Express and mobile classroom. The club also honored Brill Elementary, Kleb Intermediate, and Klein High with a donation from proceeds of their fall charity luncheon and auction. Former Brill principal Dana Hernandez, who's sitting right back here, as a matter of fact, said, and I quote, "The Champion Forest Women's Club are truly the heartbeat of Champion Forest. Their dedication to the community at large, with enriching students' lives through scholarships and expanding learning opportunities for students in their community schools, such as Brill Elementary, have made such a positive impact on so many students' educational experiences. The Champion Forest Women's Club listened to our needs by enhancing our learning commons at Brill to foster an innovative, collaborative, and creative approach to student learning and mentoring. Their generous donation of over $10,000 allowed the campus an opportunity to continue purchasing many additions to the Learning Commons, which was completely transformed through a grant earned from the Klein Education Foundation. It is our privilege to honor the Champion Forest Women's Club for their commitment to Klein ISD and for standing up for public education."
Next up is our Alumni Award. Judy?
All right. Each month, we're blessed to honor alumni. And so at this time, I'm going to ask Darby Young and Shelby Young Polanski to join me at the podium.
Look at their pictures.
And look at those pictures.
Sorry, guys. Blame Miss A.
I call Mama.
All right, so this month we're recognizing Shelby, y'all come up here. Where's the mullet? Let everybody see you. Shelby Young Polanski and Darby Young, or as Kathy Arlano calls them, the dynamic duo. Both Shelby and Darby grew up in Klein, and their parents also worked for the district. They are now Klein employees and have taken their high school passion and made it their profession. Both love what they do, and it shows through their hard work and success in their careers. Shelby was a member of Miss A's drill team as a freshman, and by her junior year, Kathy pegged her to one day be a drill team director. Shelby would laugh and say, "Never, you work too hard." Shelby was quite a creative officer and had great ideas. She also worked for Kathy as a dance teacher at her studio, Jazzmatazz, in the mid-90s. She had the skill of motivation for the young dancer, and she was well loved by her students. She graduated from Sam Houston State University with a degree in elementary education and began teaching in elementary upon graduation. In October of that first year of teaching, she said to Miss A, "Please don't say I told you so, but I want to be a drill team director." And she soon had an opportunity to use her talent at Spring High School as the Starlet director, and then after 9 years came home to be the Klein Oaks Strutter director. Shelby has been invested in Promise to Purpose by not only promoting dance education, but also alongside her husband by raising their children to be excellent examples of every student finding their niche and becoming forever learners. Darby graduated from Klein Oak in 1989, and in 2006, he came to Klein Oak to apply for a social studies and coaching job. His wonderful wittiness landed him the job, and guess who interviewed him? As his supervisor, Miss A would have other teachers observe him to show them the innovativeness of his social studies activities, such as learning stations where students would rotate and interact with each other. His role-playing activities and creative projects motivated his students. Darby left Oak to become the Klein Assistant Athletic Director and is now the Athletic Director for the district. We join Mrs. Arlano in commending Darby for his creative ideas for summer athletic camps and student initiatives to promote students' investment in learning. Darby is married and has children who are also benefiting from the Klein Promise to Purpose education. Please join me in recognizing this month's alumni, Shelby Young Polanski and Darby Young. I want you to introduce all of your guests, and then both of you say a few words.
Okay, first I want to introduce my family, who's the reason that I'm in this district and have stayed and wanted to be here and raise my family here. First, we have our father, Robert Young, who was a stand-up Robert Young. Coach Young, sorry, and who was the athletic director of the district for many years, also worked at Klein Forest as a head coach. And we have our mother, who opened up Klein Oak High School and also retired from there, Cheryl Young. And we have our grandmother, who always says I'm her favorite granddaughter. I may be the only one, but that's a title that I still hold, that Miss Wilma Henry. And do you want to introduce your family? Or you want me to? Okay. I'm gonna let him introduce his family. Yes, my husband is back there as well. Nathan Polanski. He's Sergeant Polanski in the district. Yes, everybody loves him. I know. And our two daughters, Jordan Jackson and Avery Jackson, and they are both products of Klein ISD as well. And our sons are at home going to bed early tonight because they have STAR testing tomorrow. David and Nicholas.
And my family, Mackenzie Young, my daughter, 5th grader, Wes Young, 3rd grader, both at Benignus Elementary, my wife, Angie Young, at Schindewolf Intermediate School.
All right, so first of all, thank you so much for this honor. It's something special to say that my entire family has a connection to Klein ISD. Obviously from my parents to my brother, I grew up known as Coach Young's daughter or Coach Young's sister, Sean Young's daughter, and now I'm Sergeant Polanski's wife. So I have a connection everywhere. My two daughters grew up with me as a director. Jordan got to see me as an elementary teacher for a little bit, but was instantly connected to dance as soon as I was. She is now going to finish her junior year at A&M. Yes. And Avery's finishing her freshman year at Klein Oak as a strutter and was just named our new member advisor for strutters. So, and she got her braces off today, which is very exciting. Everyone that has impacted my life and made me the woman that I am is in this room tonight. And I wouldn't be here without my family, but also this very special lady right here. Ooh, I can't look at you, I'm gonna start crying. Kathy Arlotto, who, as she said, told me I was gonna be a director, and I swore that was not gonna happen because I didn't think I could deal with the crazy parents. And here's the thing I've learned is it made me a better director because I now have been that crazy parent. I'm the parent of the two girls, and I get to be the director on the other side. And it actually made me a better director, having learned how to be the parent and the director at the same time. So it's okay to be a mama bear every now and then. That's what I've learned. They have been my guiding force, and she has been my mentor through it all. I've called her multiple times asking, how do I handle this? What do I do? And she's always helped me go through my leadership through her and knowing, okay, this is what she did, and this is where we are now. How do we change that? How do we grow? And one of the things that made me want to change from elementary school to high school was that I only got my fifth graders for a year, and then they were gone. And in high school with drill team, I get to have them for 4 years, most of them. And I see them come in as freshmen and leave as seniors, and then I get to stay connected to them. And they are, what we always tell them is that you're trying to live your legacy, leave a legacy, and the promise to purpose is exactly what that is all about. So I am blessed to be able to do the job that I do. I'm blessed to have a family that supports me and the district that is embodied in family and community. So thank you so much for this honor, and now I'm going to hand the microphone over to my brother.
Well, same stories because of our family. Our family is so hugely involved in the educational system. They've always been our guiding force to what we were going to be and what we're going to accomplish. My English teacher, Miss Gray, in high school, told me that I was going to be a coach. And she said, you understand what kids need, you understand what kids want, you know how to get to kids. I had to mentor certain athletes just because I knew what they needed to learn. But after that, my father said, that's the only thing you know. And my father said, you will go to college and you will pick another major. And so for 2 years, I was an accounting major until I came home one Christmas break and spent 2.5 hours at Strock Farms and convinced him that's the only thing I know, but it's the only thing I love too. And so I became a coach soon after that. I also was very blessed to move into a community that was committed to being a community, to developing their history and taking that initiative to keep themselves small as we grew big. It's been very big for us to have such a strong work ethic in this community, for us to be loyal to our community, to our teams, to our teachers, to our coaches. And it's something that has been instilled in me by my family as I've grown through there. I've always been accused of being too loyal at times, and I surely am, because I believe that's what people are. Teachers, from Miss Hamilton to Miss Ditta, to Coach Wortham, to Coach Davis, to Coach Wood, these were all mentors. These were all guiding forces to me. These are the people that helped guide me when I was at school, when I was away from my father. My father was the head coach at Klein Forest as I was a player at Klein Oak. And he was always a competitor to me, but always my father. He was one that really helped keep me level-headed as I went through my high school and college years. My mother would always say when it came Klein Oak, Klein Forest week, you do not speak. Y'all go your opposite directions. We are both hard-headed and we're both level-headed when it comes to competition because we both think we're going to win. And so it was a fun week. I think only one of those 3 years we won because Mrs. Reitmeyer's sons beat us. So, but it was very fun.
It was Coach.
Yes. As those teachers and those coaches, they always knew they always knew us as people. They always knew what we were capable of. They knew what we needed to improve on, and they always pushed us to be those type of people. They taught us humility when we won. They taught us to have a little humor. As you look at those senior pictures that I thank goodness knew were coming from Miss Orlando. And they always knew how we could get the best out of everybody in our school. They pushed us to be successful. That always continued on. As I moved through the coaching ranks, I came back to Klein ISD as I graduated from Southwest Texas State University, the Fighting Bobcats. And my father was the assistant athletic director. And as I got out of graduation, he said, "Good luck, go make your legacy." Most people come back to their home school as soon as they come out. I'm going to finish my career in my home school district because I went and made my legacy. I followed my mentors where they led me to be as a student, as an athlete, and once again as a coach. They always taught me, treat those the way you want to be treated. My mother instilled that in me. Every time I had a disagreement with somebody or I didn't see eye to eye, she always kept me level and said, make sure you treat them the way you want to be treated. They also taught me at a young age, listen, don't speak before you think. So there's a lot of times when people say I'm being quiet, that's because those bubbles in my head are going off and I need to think before I speak. We've always been built on fostering relationships as a guiding light, just as they were to me. It's those people that I look back on that helped me move through my career and through my coaching adventure to where I am today. And it's really those people that I always look back at and said, how would they handle this situation? Yes, times have changed. Yes, people have moved on. People have graduated. My mentors have been here. My mentors have been Robert Young and Teresa Anderson and led me in this district. But they too must pass. And it becomes our time. And when it becomes our time, it's important that we always remember that relationships with people and relationships with those kids that we teach and coach every single day are the reason why we're here. They're the reason why we do the things we do. If you ask me right now, what thing do I miss the most, or the only thing I miss about my position is I don't get to be a guiding light to those kids every single day. I educate coaches. I have them educate kids. But kids are the reason why we're in this business and the only reason why we do what we do. My father told me as I got in the business, and it's almost over, people don't care what you know until they care that they know that you care. People don't care what you know until they know that you care about them. And that's so true. The reason why I was able to be successful in the classroom, like Miss Orlando said, was because I knew what those kids needed, I knew what they wanted, and I could see what their light needed to be and how bright it could shine. As a leader of this department, I'm very proud to follow in the footsteps, yes, of my father, yes, of Coach Bourne, of Coach Novak, who has passed, Teresa Anderson, but I'm most proud to develop the character and the discipline of our young athletes that we have in our school system today. And as we move forward and as we make decisions, I'm happy to be where I am. I'm glad to finish my career where I'm finishing it because I will finish it in my hometown, and that's the way it should be. Thank you, Ms. Orlando, for everything you've done. I appreciate you recommending us, and it's an honor to recommend everybody else. Thank you.
I get to take these.
How's that? The only thing I want to say is just to all the youngsters in the audience, this is what it's like. We come back home and grow. And I'm just so very proud of both of them. And it's just special.
Brothers and sisters, this is somebody that always has my back and always has. We're the same.
Yeah.
But if you ever hear us on Friday nights, only me and her can speak to each other the way that we do.
It's true.
Thank you. Next up, we have the Lamar Award, and Mr. Alan Bettis is here from the Northwest Masonic Lodge to present the Marabou B. Lamar Award. The history of the award has been summarized and presented on the screen earlier tonight, and we are glad to have these gentlemen here.
Dr. Champion, Mrs. Spalding, members of the board, and distinguished guests. Thank you for allowing us to present this annual award every year to a teacher who exemplifies excellence in the classroom. And this year, we would like to present the award to Miss Angelica Casanova, a teacher at Klein Forest High School. She's an avid teacher. She's taught for 10 years, 5 years in this position at Klein Forest. And she's also the STUCO sponsor, an avid teacher I mentioned earlier, and numerous other activities. If I went through the entire list, we'd be here all night, and the hour is getting late. So I will not make you go through all that. So anyway, so at this time, I would like to present this award to Mrs. Angelica Casanova, Marabou B. Lamar Award, the Father of Education. I also have a certificate here for her. It's suitable for framing, and we took the liberty upon ourselves to go ahead and do that. However, if this does not match the decor of her house, she is welcome to change it. This is from the Grand Lodge of Texas, AF and AM, Marabou B. Lamar Award of Excellence, awarded to Angelica Casanova for personal achievement. Marabou B. Lamar, the second president of the Republic of Texas, has been called the father of Texas public school system for his leadership in establishing quality public education in Texas. Lamar was a member of the Masonic fraternity, known then as it is today, for its strong support of excellence in the public schools. With this award, we recognize your exemplary achievement and offer our warmest congratulations to you and your school. Given this 14th day of May, AD 2018, AL 6018, by Northwest Lodge, number 1434, Spring, Texas.
Golden Eagles.
Ready? 3, 2, 1. Last one. Excellent. All right.
Okay, I see we have a few scouts out in the audience. So what we're going to do is we're going to go around, give you the chance to introduce yourself, if you would. The microphone comes to you if you just let us know your name, your troop, the school you go to, and what badge you're here for this evening.
Okay. I'm Matthew Rendell. I'm from Troop 78. I go to Klein Collins, and I'm here for communication and citizenship in the community.
I'm Max Verkis. I'm from Troop 1550. I'm homeschooled, and I'm here for the Communications Merit Badge.
My name is Grayson Crafts. I am from Troop 401. I go to Strock Intermediate, and I'm here for the Citizenship in the Community Merit Badge.
My name is Abdul Syed. I go to Troop 321. I go to Klein Kane, and I'm here for communications.
My name is Calvin Hardwick. I am from Troop 878. I am homeschooled, and I'm here for citizenship in the community.
Hello, my name is Jacob Doyle. I am Troop 878. I go to Criminal Intermediate, and I am here for the citizenship and the communications merit badge.
My name is Samuel McDonough. I'm from Troop 1961. I go to Club Intermediate, and I'm here for the Communications Merit Badge.
Anybody else?
All right. All you scouts, Ms. Orlano will have your certificate for you. At this time, we're going to take a break, do an intermission to allow the audience to meet with the Board of Trustees. So the Board of Trustees will line up in the front if you'd like to start over your right, podium to my left, and have a chance to meet you. Thank you. Okay, have your attention, please. We'll now continue our meeting with our citizens' inquiry. Do we have any inquiries, Mr. Orlano?
I do not.
Okay. Well, moving right along, we'll continue the meeting with the tax report and related action items. You'll note there's 4 sub-items listed, and we'll take each item separately. So the first item will be the public hearing for the 2018 proposed tax rate. The purpose of this hearing is to discuss the proposed 2018 tax rate that will be adopted tonight and provide the opportunity for citizens to make comments regarding the tax rate. Dr. Jim, do you have a report to present?
I do. Actually, Dan Schaefer, our Chief Financial Officer, will be bringing the report.
All right.
Dan?
Good evening, Board President, members of the Board, Dr. Champion, Ms. Spalding, and guests. First, I'd like to thank members of the TRE Advisory Group, the DIDC, Strategic Planning Committee, Board, and other stakeholders for their input over the last several months. In addition, I'd like to thank the Long Range Facility Planning Committee back in 2014-15 timeframe that had the foresight to not only plan for the construction-related cost of the facilities program, but also made plans to cover the increased operating cost associated with opening new schools. The original tax rate election, or TRE timeline, was scheduled for the 16-17 school year, which would have coincided with the opening of Klein Kane High School. We've been very fortunate to be able to delay this by 1 year due to the $34.2 million in fund balance accumulated over 4 years from 2013 to 2016, when state funding and property value growth was stronger. The process this year is going to be a little different. We are, at Klein ISD, is electing to adopt the tax rate using the certified estimate of taxable values as provided by section 44.004 to the Education Code, following the early tax rate adoption process. Per Board Policy CE, we'll actually have 2 public hearings, this one this evening to discuss the proposed tax rate, and then in a later meeting, we'll have another one to discuss the proposed budget. The public notice has been provided May 3rd, 2018 in the Houston Chronicle. The estimate of certified values, the drum roll, yay, they actually came in as of April 30th, 2.765% increase. Originally, we were estimating about a 5% increase, and this was pre-Harvey. So Harvey impact did adjust our values downward as expected. The proposed M&O tax rate is $1.13, which would be up 9 cents, based on feedback throughout the last several months from various groups. The rollback rate is $1.04, as that's the highest amount a district can have without voter approval. So it's automatically triggering a TRE if the proposed tax rate is adopted. We are projecting a 1.65% increase in students. We would like to thank, I would like to personally thank the tax office, budget, and finance for the quick turnaround time on the notice. It was rather quick, obviously, to get into the paper by the due date. it did require some effort, and I do appreciate it. Just to highlight one area on this public notice excerpt, this was what was in the paper. The rate that says rate to maintain same level of maintenance and operation revenue. So that, according to the truth and taxation calculations provided by the comptroller, says that we would actually require $1.17 to maintain our current level of revenue. What the district is proposing is $1.13, which is below what the rate to maintain is. Obviously, these are all calculations provided by the requirements of the state, but just thought I'd highlight that just based on our current funding levels, and just wanted to point that out to the board and guest. Looking at our trend analysis, we have entered a time where our property value growth is returning to more of a normal growth rate. We enjoyed several years, beginning in 2014, of rather rapid growth, and that was on the heels of pretty flat growth based on the economic downturn that the area and nation encountered during that period. From 2014, we saw a 7% increase, 2015, 13% increase in values, 2016, 11.9, 2017, 10.3. Last year, or the current year that we're operating, was a 6.9% increase. Next year, as mentioned, we're looking at a 2.765. So we're seeing a trend in a direction where that growth is slowing. The over 65 population, believe it or not, is growing in our area. It may come to a surprise for most, but it's growing faster than our overall growth rate. So we're seeing more taxes being frozen. There's about 15,400 homesteads that are in that area of either over 65 or disabled. Enrollment growth, what we're budgeting moving forward is about 1.5 to 2% annually. So just to give you some idea of what we're looking at moving forward. Early in the year, we reviewed peer group analysis on districts that are of similar size and serve a similar demographic of students. We looked at our expenditures as compared to those districts. This evening, we wanted to look at the revenue side of it to really provide a complete picture of how we compare to our peer districts. When you see back in 2008, we're looking at a trend where the blue line is lower than our peers, which is the green line, and we're lower than the state, which is the yellow line. And so you can see that if we talked earlier in the year about how target revenue was determined back in 06, it was based on your benchmark was based on what you were receiving in revenue in that time frame. As you can see, our benchmark, our baseline figure, is lower than our peers just based on the operations at the time. And so that's why we've been artificially low compared to our peers, is that one single moment in time where target revenue was determined, and basically that's where the state is built. Future budgets was on that baseline figure. We were able to close the gap beginning in 2012, actually 2013, 14, and 15. And if you look at the bottom line, you can see why, because value growth. Districts keep value growth for 1 year because the target revenue system operates on a year lag. The state calculates funding formulas based on a prior year value. We collect based on the current year value. And so we keep value growth for 1 year, which that rapid value growth allowed us to close the gap on other districts temporarily. But as of August 31st, 2017, our peer districts are at $8,334 per student. And we are at, $7,993 per student. So about a $341 difference per student. You multiply that times 53,000 students, that's a pretty big number that we're dealing with as a funding difference compared to our peer districts. This may look familiar, areas that we are spending more efficiently, yay. Areas, we talked about a lot about efforts that were performed over the last 10 years in the areas of support services that we've been able to capitalize. Where we actually see in function 51, facilities, the bottom line there, we spend, compared to our peers, as of August 31st, 2017, audited information, 26% lower than our peers, so $8.6 million less than our peers in that area, which is considered a support function. In addition, in areas like that would be considered more district-wide or central office type positions, function 41 and function 21, which is general administration and instructional leadership, you can see there that we spend 3% less than our peers on general administration, and on function 21 in instructional leadership, 49% less than our peers. And that allows us to, again, invest more in students. Direct classroom instruction, we spend about 3% more than our peers. guidance counseling, curriculum and staff development for our staff are in place, and we invest in those areas to ensure that our staff are prepared with the curriculum they need to help students find their purpose. Security, another area that we emphasize for importance in school leadership. Overall, we spend about 1% more than our peers, according to that top line, $4.3 million, so 1%. And so through this process, we are looking to shore up our budget by about $8 million over the next 3 years. So to summarize, the areas that we're spending more efficiently are in the support areas: general administration, instructional leadership, extracurricular activities, facilities, maintenance and operations. Those are support areas. Along with, and we invest more than our peers in direct classroom instruction, guidance, counseling and services, and security and monitoring services. Looking forward, with a 9-cent TRE for the general fund, we're looking at pretty much a balanced budget. It does show about a $3 million budget deficit, even with 9 cents, so it's a tight budget still. But with this, typically we have about $6 to $7 million of budget to actual variances, so we don't spend all the money that's budgeted. So we should end up with a surplus at the end of the year if history repeats itself. Moving forward for the next year, it'd be about $538,000 budget deficit, but again, budget to actual variances should lead to a favorable actual, along with 2020-21. So these projections would, the 9 cents would allow us to maintain our current level of fund balance and potentially add a little bit to it, but again, it's based on historical budget to actual variances. The highlights for appropriations include staffing. Obviously, we're 90% people, so that's where the majority of our money goes. For Kane, adding the 11th grade is about $2.7 million. Hophius Intermediate opening is about $2.9. Additional security-related items that have been identified of $770,000, and then other staffing ratios and other net of about 3.4. This would include a 1% cost of living adjustment for $3.3 million. In addition, we'd have some non-recurring safety projects of about $4.3 million that would be ongoing in the first year, and then additional safety projects in the second year. Debt service, this is an area where we originally planned to go up on the tax rate this year to 41 cents, or actually next year to 41 cents. So from 39 cents to 41 cents. We are going to be able to hold that rate flat at 39 cents, which is great. And so you can see here that we will still we'll have a little bit of a deficit, but not much. And considering our fund balance in that account, that's pretty much a balanced budget. Moving forward, we'd have a slight surplus, and then that gets us to 2021, where there'd be a slight increase. So we were able to delay any increases. Originally, the 2015 bond proposal anticipated a tax rate up to 45 cents, and so we're at 39 cents right now, and we'll still be able to hold that for a couple more years. So again, no change in the INS rate, and this would include our next round of bond sales as scheduled, so no changes in timing there. So this will where we're going to get into some of the discussions regarding state funding. A lot of this will be repeated, but we want to make sure it's fresh on everyone's mind. But it is the state's responsibility, according to the Texas Constitution, that it shall establish and make suitable provisions for the support and maintenance of an efficient system of public education. One of the things we've been challenged with is since 2008 to 2018, the state's contribution on a per student basis has dropped by 16.2%, which is only behind Oklahoma. And if you hear any of the news, Oklahoma is not doing real well when it comes to their performance and in the education field. This has led to a shift in the share. The state's looked at public education as a shared cost. Local property taxes make up a portion of it, along with state funding. This is a statewide look at our system. When you see in 2012, our local share of it was about 54%. On looking at a statewide approach, it's grown all the way to 62% by 2019, and this is according to the Legislative Budget Board. The state shares dropped from 46% to 38%. It's not really surprising when you see what the state budgeted in the General Appropriations Act for 18-19. They anticipated, or in order to balance the budget, a 14% increase in property values in order to balance the state's budget. Districts did not see that increase in the form of additional target revenue, which has led us to our situation. We were considered really a poverty poor district back in 13-14 when you see our state contribution was 58%. Local property taxes made up about 41%. We've seen a rather significant shift in a short period of time. In 2017-18, our property tax collections are actually more than the state funding generates. And so state has seen a rather large shift from 58% contribution to 48%. Local property tax payers are contributing up to 51% compared to 41%. And this is attributable to that target revenue. As mentioned, in 2006, the state was the last major change in the funding formulas, and basically had a reset. And at the time, it required districts to compress our tax rate by 1/3. So most districts were at $1.50 on the M&O side, compressed down to $1, and basically set a new bar, and based on the revenues that districts were collecting in the prior year. They applied the new formulas, came up with an amount per student, and that came up with target revenue on a per district. And so the target revenue consists of your local property tax collections up to the $1.04, and then supplemented with state funding. As values grow, if values grow quicker than what the target revenue system grows based on state action, then what simply happens is local property taxpayers pay more and the state pays less, and that's what's occurred over the last several years as property value growth statewide has grown faster than what the state has added to target revenue. In real dollars, you'll see that the state funding number has decreased significantly for Klein ISD. About $4,100 per student in 2015-16, dropped all the way down to $3,441 for the 17-18 year. So that's $34.1 million when you multiply it out over 53,000 students. In contrast, the local contribution has increased by about $22 million. But overall, you can see our actual funding per student has decreased by about $12.3 million when you look at it on a per student basis. So from about $7,600 to $7,400 over a 3-year period, which is rather significant. So we have a fixed amount of money we can see per student, and the way the state funding system works currently is as values rise, if the state doesn't make adjustments to funding formulas, it actually reduces the state contribution to offset that increased local funding. Oh, sorry. So we talked a lot about shoring up over the last several months, and that is part of the overall plan. What we're going to focus on this evening is the tax ratification piece of it. A tax ratification is simply an adoption of a tax rate above $1.04. What's interesting is that not only does it generate additional local dollars, but it also generates additional state aid. Believe it or not, it's an interesting system. The state measures funding effort based on your rate. And so it allows us to increase the rate. If we increase the rate, the state's required to increase their contribution as well. As the same with our bonds, there would be no tax impact for our citizens over 65 or disabled persons who have established a tax ceiling at that age. And so as long as the individual is at that ceiling amount, then they would not see an impact by this action. Our neighboring districts have gone through a similar exercise. A number of districts in our area are over $1.04, and as listed here, there's 7 districts around us. On a bigger note, which is a kind of an alarming graphic, is that over half the districts in the state have already done a TRE. So clearly there's a problem with the statewide look at things. It's not an isolated Klein ISD issue. But again, we've been able to delay it as long as we have. But it's at the point now where we've maximized everything we can to push it to this point. But at some point, we're having to join the ranks of the other 525 districts of asking the taxpayers for a TRE. So we're looking at 9 cents, and this is based on feedback from a variety of groups, including conversations with the board, and we appreciate all the feedback. It's helped us to develop the plan. This highlights the additional effort that would be generated by the state through this additional tax rate. The state contribution would grow from about $34.41 to $36.34, and overall, you'd see the target revenue per student would increase to $79.60, which is about $544 per student. This is broken up into two different types of pennies. The first 2 are considered super pennies, and those are maximized at the state level, where we're able to capitalize on the funding formulas. It's interesting that for those 2 pennies, we generate $4.2 million of local funding from our taxpayers, and the state would be required to contribute $9.2 million in additional state aid. So it's a huge boom for the school district and our community to be able to pull that state investment to our area. And then the 7 regular pennies, you'll see that it generates about $15.4 million. 14.7 of it is local. The rest of it is state aid, so about $100,000 per penny. But that would provide us $28.8 million or $544 per student. This is broken down. If you look at a $200,000 home with a $25,000 homestead exemption, the 9 cents would be about $13.13 a month or 43 cents a day. So then with the 9 cents, so with the reductions or shoring up of the budget of about $8 million, this would allow us to maintain our current operating structures. It would allow us to operate without additional pennies or without additional state aid through 2021. And then we'd be able to use 3 pennies to focus on immediate security needs, incorporating those items into the budget immediately versus waiting for the next bond. There are some operating areas, which include additional police officers for intermediate and elementary campuses, equipment for those police officers, and then we get into some capital-related items for our facilities, which would typically be funded with a bond. This would allow us to secure, for security vestibules at all campuses, entrance screening technology at intermediate campuses, and then elementary school perimeter and playground fencing would be able to be accomplished in the next 2 years. Not having to go out for bond for those items would save us a significant amount of interest. Typically, the bonds are financed over a 30-year period, and so similar to a mortgage, if you look at your home, what you pay in principal versus interest is it's alarming when you see how much you pay in interest. But so we would be able to save the interest cost on those projects. The proposed TRE date, if the board so moves, would be June 16th. This was the earliest we could do it. We would have liked to have had a May or follow the traditional schedule, but with the requirements of having to wait till you receive your certified estimate of values, we don't receive that till April 30th. There's a certain posting requirement, 10 days in the paper, and then 30 days after the call would be when the election could be held. And so June was really the earliest time frame we could accomplish this. This would allow for early voting to begin in May. And then waiting till November was really a challenge, considering we have to adopt our budget by August 31st. We would have already committed to expenditures without knowing the revenues we would have to support that. And so that was a challenge and the desire of the district to really know what we had as far as revenues to operate, and so we can make decisions over the summer either way. So there are some early voting locations that have been preliminarily discussed. Champion Forest Baptist Church, Klein Multipurpose Center, and Klein Forest High School would be the early voting locations. We have a lot of information on our website, so kisd.us/TRE 2018. In addition, for community members or anybody, if they have a question or want to have a conversation, they can use Let's Talk feature. We have a dedicated area for that, for the TRE, and allows for prompt feedback and response to those, as long as contact information is left. If someone doesn't put their contact information, we can't return an answer. But we do what we can. We answer the ones that have contact information. There are some areas that we've been looking at as myth busters. There's oftentimes perceptions and things out there, and we're trying to address those as they come up, just to make sure people have all the facts, so that we have an informed community when they go to vote on June 16th, or early voting if they so choose. But we do encourage folks to utilize the Let's Talk feature in order for us to get feedback to them. So please, we consistently update Mythbusters, so if you check it once and you've read all of them, you can check back if you hear something else. If you hear something and you want us to add it to Mythbusters, let us know. We're happy to add any comments as well. The next steps, this is a public hearing, so the next step would be to invite public input on the proposed tax rate. Subsequently this evening, there are several action items. The board would consider the ordinance adopting the proposed tax rate, which would be agenda item 7B. The one following that, if the proposed rate is adopted, then the board would take action to call an election, which would be agenda item 7C. And 8, sorry, something moved. And then consider agreement with the Harris County Elections Office to conduct the election on behalf of the district, which would be 8D. Yep. All right, I can follow suit. So at this time, I'd be happy to answer any questions from the board. Yes, sir.
Could you go back to slide number 40?
Yes.
Thank you. I just wanted to look at this a little more. This is, I think, a very telling slide. That red square is the key.
That's what I thought, Siri. It looks bad.
You said it. She agrees. Now, I think that is that's a
Right.
good slide.
Yeah, the funding per student continues to drop, and there's a lot of things to take into consideration with the funding formulas, because with it being on a lag, and we had that good value growth for a while, with the way the calculations are catching up, we're actually seeing a drop in funding per student, and so that's what's creating some of the pressure on the budget.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions?
Are there any persons that would like to speak about it? So come forward, register with the secretary. So, consideration of a tax rate will follow this hearing. The tax rate that's ultimately adopted will raise more taxes for maintenance and operations than last year's tax rate, and may not exceed the proposed rates unless the district publishes a revised notice containing the same information and comparisons and holds another public meeting to discuss the revised notice. So if there's no speakers, that concludes this hearing. We'll now consider the establishment of the 2018 ad valorem tax rate. If I may have a motion.
Mr. President, I move that the property tax rate be increased by the adoption of a tax rate of $1.52, which is effectively a 3.95% increase in the tax rate.
Motion, may I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Next is the approval to call a tax ratification election on June 16, 2018. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Our next item is the approval of the joint election agreement with Harris County for the tax ratification election to be held on Saturday, June 16, 2018. May I have a motion?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. So we'll move on to our next report for the 2018 bond refunding. Mr. Champion.
I don't know if y'all know our Chief Financial Officer, but Dan Schaefer is going to come up and begin that presentation. Dan.
All right, we get to talk a little bit about saving money, which is a good thing. We have Matt Dustin here with RBC to go over a refunding opportunity. The board actually approved the order for the new bonds, and we were able to execute that earlier in the year, but also put in a provision for refunding bonds if they came available. That was good for 12 months, and so there is a current refunding opportunity. The advanced refunding option is still not available, and so we're going to look at the current refunding options, which provides a nice savings for the district. So I'll turn it over to Matt Dustin so he can let us know the good news.
Thanks, Dan. Hi, everybody. Thank you. I've got a few interest rate market slides for you that I'll kind of breeze through, and then I'll get to the real meat of the discussion of the purpose of the refunding, how it works, and how it saves the district money. This first slide just shows you some macro level information about the market in the U.S. The top right-hand graph might be hard for the audience to read, a little small, but it just shows you what our interest rate forecasts are for the various markets, including about 15 basis points increasing every quarter this year and into next year. That's in line with, I think, what most of the street is thinking. There's a 93% chance right now that the Federal Reserve will increase interest rates again in June. So the timing of this refunding is timely because we may be able to slip in there before that rate happens. We wouldn't be able to achieve all the savings that rate hike would give us because most people understand that hike is coming, and they'll kind of bake those rates into their bids when they select paper to buy on. This gives you a comparison on the bottom. It shows you a comparison of the 10-year taxable treasury rate in green and the 10-year AAA municipal rate in blue. You'll see that currently munis are trading about 50 basis points lower than treasuries, which is a really good spread. It's a healthy spread to have. Historically, we've seen those rates a lot closer tied. They're not directly correlated, but they do trade off each other quite frequently. And so the fact that someone can buy a muni bond 50 basis points lower, or an issuer can sell a muni bond for the same maturity 50 basis points lower than the federal government can, is a really good indication that there's a healthy supply and good demand for munis right now. Let me skip past this one. This shows you the last 8 years or so of AAA municipals. And the call-out box in the top right shows you the last 12 months. And you'll see that since January, rates have gone up about 50 basis points. And they were relatively flat for the remainder of last year. We're slightly above where we were a year ago, 12 months, but not much. So there was a bit of a trough last summer, and then we've increased steadily from there as the economy has been heating up a bit. This shows you the refunding opportunity. What this is similar to a mortgage. You take out a mortgage and rates are high, you're paying an interest payment on that mortgage respectively. If rates drop later on in the lifetime that you're living in that home, it's prudent to take out a new mortgage, pay off the old one with the proceeds, and then you enjoy the savings and interest costs. Similarly, you can do the same with a municipal bond. You can't pay it off before the call date, but on the call date you can, and that's what opportunity is presented to the board currently. So on August 1st, 2018, you have a call of roughly almost 14 million in bonds that are callable on that day. If you pay those off with current market interest rates, you would save roughly $2.2 million in debt service costs. All of that is a total debt service number, and that's over the life of those bonds. If you present valued that figure to today's number, or to today's dollars, you'll see the blue bar along the bottom. It shows you that the PV of that number is just over $2 million. So this is a significant savings for the amount of bonds that you'd be selling. We wish that there were more bonds callable on August 1st so that you could save more at this time, since interest rates are still historically low. But unfortunately, these are the only bonds that you can call on August 1st this year. As Dan mentioned, historically you've been able to reach further into the future and do an advance refunding where you'd sell a bigger bond issue and you'd put the proceeds in an escrow. It would sit there for you as an investment and then pay off the refunding bonds on their call date 2 or 3 years in the future. That is not available now with the tax law changing. So the only option you have for refunding is a current, which is the one before you. The bottom right-hand graph shows you just sensitivity on interest rates. So if they move 0.25% one way or the other, you can see how the savings would either accelerate or descend from there. And this is a good opportunity for you. This last slide here shows you how we can structure the savings to help you through this bit of a bottleneck in your budget season for the next few years. Dan was touching quite a bit on the tax rate pressure on the debt service side as well as the O&M side. What this cash flow shows you is on the left-hand side, it's your current debt service on these 2008 A bonds, just on the portion that you're refunding. So we're comparing apples to apples here. The prior debt service is the 14 million in bonds that you are considering paying off. The refunding debt service is the new bonds debt service, roughly the same principal amount, but it's at a lower interest cost. So the savings are reflected in the next column. And the way we've structured the savings is to try and accelerate as much of the savings as we can up front, while still maintaining at least some amount of savings in every year through final maturity. So we don't want any of the savings to turn negative in any year so that we can save money now that we'd have to pay for in the future. So this is, I think, the best way to structure the savings. It allows you to save most of that 2.2 million in the next 4 years, and then the remaining is kind of very minimal, almost de minimis savings out through 2038, final maturity of these bonds. The other thing you'll notice here is that the new debt service is paid off at the same time as the old debt service, so you're not extending the life of the debt. This next slide is a timeline. This is really a worst case scenario. We will be able to accelerate this timeline by probably 2 weeks, because we won't need to come back for board approval in June for the preliminary official statement. As Dan mentioned, the board already gave approval for these refunding bonds when it set its parameter order back last December. And in that parameter order, you said that your pricing officer, being your chief financial officer, could accept a rate for refunding bonds if it saved you at least 4% of the refunded bonds. And in this scenario, using current market rates, you're almost at 15%. So this is within that parameter. The parameter is good for 12 months. So we're hoping that we can price sometime mid-June and close this before the August 1st call date, which of course you want to do, because if these bonds closed anytime after August 1st, you would be paying interest at the higher rate for a longer time that you would need to. Maybe I'll pause there and see if there's any questions. If not, I will turn it back to Dan.
All right. 50 more years and he'll be here.
2.2 million.
2.2 million, that's what I heard, Matt. That's
Reduced
right.
taxpayer
2.2 million in
burden.
savings.
Interest savings, yay. So the recommendation is included in the board packet. In addition, the information that are on the slides are also included in the board packet. So if you needed a chance to take a look at it in further detail, it's available for reference in the future. So
thanks, Dan.
Thanks.
Thank you, Dan.
Okay, the Board of Trustees will now conduct the first reading of the proposed modifications to the student handbooks for the 2018-19 school year. Is there any discussion or comments from the board? Okay, next item for consideration has two parts, which we'll take together as one item, the approval of the proposed modifications to local board policies as follows. BBB, board members, elections. BJA, superintendent, qualifications and duties. And DNB, performance appraisal, evaluation of campus administrators. I have a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Next, we have the approval and acceptance of the hearing officer recommendation as written in the Hildebrandt student discipline matter.
Mr. President, I move that the board uphold the hearing officer recommendation in the Hildebrandt student discipline matter.
Okay, we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Next item is the consideration for approval of the contract award for the 2018 elementary school front entrance additions and gym renovations. I have a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. Next is the approval of the schematic design and design development for the Fox property. May I have a motion?
I so move. Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. We'll now consider for approval the nomination of Georgianne Reitmeyer to serve as a member of the TASB Board of Directors for Region 4, Position A.
I so move.
Second.
Any discussion?
I didn't see any qualifications or resume or.
All those in favor?
Here, here.
And I abstain.
Opposed? Motion carries 6-0 with one abstention. So moving on to the consent agenda, are there any items that you wish to remove from the consent agenda?
None. None.
Check?
No.
Okay. Administration has pulled item F from the consent and from the agenda. So all those in favor?
That means we're voting on the consent agenda without item F.
All those in favor? Opposed? Carries 7-0. Okay, we're now ready to approve the minutes of the regular meeting on April 10th, 2018. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All is in favor? Opposed? Motion carries 7-0. So moving on to calendar review, please be reminded of the following events. The board workshop scheduled for Monday, May 21st at 6 p.m. Parent University graduation on May 17th at 9:30 a.m. Staff banquet Thursday, May 17th at 6:30 p.m. And there are 3 TRE community conversations, May 22nd at Benegas, May 29 at Klein Forest, and May 30 at Klein Kane High School. And graduation is June 2nd.
Mr. President, the calendar on our laptop has 9 a.m. for the parent university. I have 9:30 on my calendar.
I have 9:30 as well.
It's 9:30.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, we're now ready for comments. Start with you, Ms. Reitmeyer.
Oh, first of all, I want to comment and thank Steve Zemzak for serving on our Legislative Advocacy Council, and it's indicated in our Lone Star magazine, and it's an important voice for us as a board and for our state. Secondly, speaking of voice, the Klein Talks, the student voice in that April event was just amazing, innovative, and just such an opportunity for our students to shine. And thank you for posting them, the PR people, one at a time so that the community could see them as well. I could go on and on because there's a lot of things happening.
I have a couple things. Relay for Life is this Saturday at the Multipurpose Center, and it is Klein ISD hosts it every year, and so I'd love to see everybody come out. And then the other thing is that I was so excited for Dale Westmoreland and having the field named after him. So, great man, awesome. That's it.
Good night. Thanks for the TRE update and information. That's very powerful. And anytime that we see a reduction in cost available for students, that kind of hits us in the gut. So I think that needs to be the loud message from tonight. It's kind of fun seeing kids get honored from Tice. I went to Tice. And it just brings back memories, but that's what it's like living here. It's kind of neat that I got to open that school going there, and it's still there.
It's been that long.
It's been a while.
Yeah,
it's been a while.
Was there
And
electricity?
for Coach Westmoreland, that was pretty cool. What would have been neat, Coach Smith was here from Klein. What they were really hoping was for Oak to win their second round game, so Klein and Oak would have played each other in the third round before heading to regional, so that would have been great. But I think Klein and Kane and Collins are still in it in different brackets. So I just wish both those programs the best of luck.
Seems like
When Ronnie went to Tice, it only had one S. Unfortunately, the board wasn't able to attend, and there's so many things in the district to attend, it's understandable. The dedication of the Fine Arts Wing at Krimmel for former principal, now deceased, Scott Crow, who was a true inspiration throughout the district. His parents were there, his brother was there, 2 of his sons, and many of the staff that, Joff, were you still here? Yeah. I was pretty angry when I was at Hildebrandt and Scott took Krimmel, and about 800 faculty followed him over there, it seemed like. But we backfilled okay over there. Joffrey and did well at Hildebrandt. But Scott was one of those shining examples of what this district provides and creates, and it was a real tribute to a man that died much too early. Thank you.
Mr. James.
I'm just excited about all the things that we've just talked about. But two things I want to mention, and one is the exciting work that's going on at Klein Forest family of schools and the kinds of leadership pieces that they're putting in place for their success. So I'm really excited about what's to come there. And the second thing is, speaking of leadership, was the Holdsworth piece as well. Really, really good piece of work. I'm excited to see how this 1 year anniversary turns into another step higher on the leadership run. So again, hats off to the leadership team. Everything keeps pointing to, I'm going to use your words,
right.
All the arrows are
right.
pointing to the students. So again, we're excited about that, and hats off to the leadership team.
I want to just say how much I've enjoyed and appreciate all the enthusiasm I get from these meetings, from the audience, from the teachers, from the students, from the participants in the meeting, even the Masons that were here tonight. The enthusiasm that's going on in Klein right now, and it is so exciting. And thanks, Dr. Champion and staff, that you've put this all in place. And I think it's wonderful to see and to hear and observe every month when I come here. Ronnie, I think I've opened 26 schools now, and they're all still open. So.
That's right. Full electricity.
Yes, I wanted to also, with the TRE stuff that we are in the middle of, this meeting was a great reminder of why we're doing that in the first place. I loved that at the end of the excellent presentation tonight on the TRE, it ended with our shared vision. Because at the end of the day, that's why we're doing this TRE. It's why we do everything, is to ensure that every student enters with a promise and exits with a purpose. And I just appreciate the spirit with which this board takes on tough things like this and says, let's take it out and let's take it to the public. And so thank you for your continued support. I also did not want to neglect this piece of communication that you have at your seat, which is the Texas Smart School Smart Score. We're one of only 28 traditional school districts in the state to receive the highest ranking of 5 stars, which means you have low spending and high academic progress, and it's this kind of thing that we need to celebrate, be aware of, and shout it from the rooftops as we talk about these pieces with the TRE. And my last piece, because it was such a terrific experience, and it's just a reminder of how many great people make this district work. Last week, Jenny and I had the opportunity to go over to the South Transportation Center and visit with the bus drivers there and literally wave to them goodbye as they went to pick up their afternoon routes. And there are staff members at that center who every day come out to watch the buses roll out to go pick up our students. Every day they watch the train of buses roll out to go pick up our students. And Connie, who's was our host over there, and it's just remarkable. She said it just makes me feel so proud to be part of this school district. And to me, that captures who we are in Klein ISD. And I think about the support team that's here at all of these meetings and the people behind the scenes that we don't think about and the amazing teachers we have. And that's promise to purpose just coming true with all these promise to purpose investors in the system. So those are my comments.
I was thinking about Matt Dustin here from RBC, and so in 50 years from now, he'll be here as long as Mr. Shepard was here. Mr. Mann will still be here. We'll all be gone. But no, thanks to the accounting, finance, tax department. I know it's hard for y'all to put together the numbers to make sure they get accurate to allow Dan to present for you. The only thing harder is going to be for the communications department to actually take what his bean counters put together and put it in a communication way so the public will understand it. So thank you to both those departments. And actually this year I get kind of a special honor. My daughter now started here as kindergarten, so she'll be graduating, and so it'll be nice to actually have her walk across the stage. And I see so many people here from Klein graduating and talking about coming back, and so it's nice to be able to move on to that next step, that stage here in my life. So, but if there's no other objections, it's now 9:10, and after those presentations, I cannot believe it's only 9:10. This meeting's adjourned.